Next question. Good question, actually.
So how did you prepare for the I Deserve to Be Loved scheme?
Ooh! Now, that is a question. You just won question of the day. And you've got a daddy pillow, as my daughter calls it, which is great. That is a brilliant question. Oh my God. Look, when you shoot TV, right, you never shoot TV in sequence, you never shoot scene 1, scene 2, scene 3, because you keep going to different locations. And at the end of the episode, you might be at the location you were at the beginning of the episode. So all those things have to be shot together, and they have to be shot a certain way, so you've got time to build sets. You can't be building sets on a stage that you're using the set at the same time. You have to work on that set, and then in the next set next door, that's where they're building the thing you have to do on a different day. Then you've got locations, and you have to go out and shoot in a house somewhere, but you might not be able to go to the house till the end of the week. You might have to shoot a certain amount of scenes outdoors at night, whatever. It's all a giant pain in the ass. It's a logistical nightmare, but it's kind of brilliant. It kind of takes genius to do. So what happened with the end of season 8, which is literally my favorite thing we ever did, because it was a time when Jeremy was back running the show. We'd gone back to Angels and Demons, which was a fantastic thing. Loved, you know, season 5 is the end of cricket. It ended it. Sarah had to come in and do season 6, and some of season 6 is some of the best episodes we ever did. Amazing stuff, right? Season 7, in my opinion, would be a great season 12, but it was a little early to do I think, a through story that was one story. It was a little hard at the time. It was a good season, but it wasn't. 8, with Jeremy come back, return to Angels and Demons, it worked. It was really, really good. And at the end of season 8, we have this church. So we're out in the arse end of BC, in the worst weather ever. I'm literally looking at the crew having to tie down cranes and do whatever. We had to shoot the outside of that church, which we built in the middle of nowhere in the rain and whatever. That was tough enough as it was. That was hard on the crew. And then, wonder of wonders, we move inside the church. So as we move inside the church, we're on stage. We're on stage and we shot the whole of that rest of that episode that was inside the church in order, in sequence, and continuously. We just kept going and kept going. It was a magical thing. So we got a chance to build things from the inside. So it starts, I think, with the Abaddon staff, me tied to the chair, etc., etc., etc. Why it was such a wonderful experience was we'd been together as that group for a while, and you know, in between shooting a scene, the crew does stuff. They move stuff, they create stuff. They don't have to be quiet. They have to be quiet when we're working or we're rehearsing. But when we're actually, you know, stuff has to move. Walls have to move. You have to turn around, relamp, redo this, move furniture, do whatever. People are entitled to a break as they're doing it, and they're entitled to talk, and you know, they work harder than we do. That's their time. But that crew decided that what we were doing was heavy enough and dark enough that it might be helped by them being quiet for 2.5 days. They were silent between takes. It was absolutely, that's what I remember. I mean, probably not all the time, but it was minimal talking. We were allowed to explore, we were allowed to continue, and it built, and it built, and it built, and it built, and it built. And it was such a weird, wonderful thing to do. I mean, to give Jensen his props, he was off camera for like 6.5 hours. He's not even been shot. The support, everybody was there to make that as good as we could make it. And that's why I think it's fascinating. And that whole speech that Jeremy wrote was based on the idea that Crowley spent an awful lot of time in motels watching HBO. And that's all it is. And I never watched Girls. So it was hysterical to have You're My Marnie Moose, you know, and I mean, all these lines that reference, I had to go watch Girls. I'm going, oh my God, it's not my favourite show. But the idea that Crowley would be massively enamoured by this awful soap opera type garbage, but he was like, that he would cry and be, and that was his natural state. And so when being injected with human blood, he would revert to this state. And it was my, you get to sing, and I mean, it was, my favourite moment in that whole scene is that after that huge speech, I look at Sam, and I'm like, what? Because he's like, what? It was an absolutely natural moment. How the hell, what the hell are we doing? What is this speech about? What is this? He was absolutely fantastic. It's like my favourite stuff that Jared did, it's my favourite stuff that I did, and it's nuts. It's absolutely batshit crazy. And while we're doing that, Mark Sheppard comes and shows a picture of the framework of the angels falling from the sky. And we're all crowded around, like, oh my God, this is going to be amazing. All of us in one direction, marching towards making the best possible thing we can. Great question. That's how I prepared for it.